I don't know. I'm starting to get worried. I'm not at the point where it's like, right, this is going the way of Mowbray, but I'm a wee bit.
I'm shite myself, but
I don't know. I wasn't going to say it. I'm not quite panicked. I'm hesitant going into Wednesday. You know?
And the thing is as well, the entertainment value is zero.
Oh, fuck right. Oh, here's this Kate now. There's Kate now. Better than that. Hello, Kate.
Hi, speaking.
How you doing, Kate? Kate, this is Joe here from the HomeBhoys. Jason's on the line. Jason, you there?
I'm here. How you doing, Kate?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, great. Thanks for calling in.
Not at all.
Okay. So, listen, I told the listeners you were going to call in, so you're obviously representing the medical aid for Palestinians.
That's it, exactly.
All the listeners, we've done a wee raffle for the last few weeks, and I sent through yesterday £1,276.21. So all that money was raised between all the listeners of this show and some different other Celtic sites. So like basically all Celtic supporters chipped in a few quid each and sent it along to you guys. So what we always says was we'd get someone for the charity on, just to give us a wee overview of the things that the charity does, where the money will be going, and some of the initiatives you've gone. So you've joined on here Joe, who introduced it, myself, Jason, and we've got Paul Larkin up in Edinburgh as well.
Hello.
Thanks so much for inviting me on. And thank you so much for the fundraising as well.
Okay.
We're incredibly grateful for that, and it's been so needed, as I think we've all seen on the news. So and it is absolutely fantastic, and it is true that we can only do what we do because of communities like you, who have been fundraising for us and putting your hands in the pocket. So that's just fantastic.
Can we ask you there, Kate? I mean, like we've kind of made it clear, obviously, with the fundraising. This isn't a political thing, obviously, because MAP is not a political organisation, and this is basically all about helping people in need, and that's all that it's been about from the start.
That's fantastic, yeah.
In terms of the fundraising and the funds, I mean, obviously we're all aware of how difficult it is to get any sort of aid to Gaza. I mean, in terms of how you guys work, I mean, can you give us a bit of background in terms of do you stockpile medical aid and then move it in at a certain point? I mean, is there a process you've had to develop over the years in terms of getting it in?
Absolutely, yeah, and that's a really good question, and that's a question that we've been asked again and again throughout this crisis, because Gaza has been subject to a blockade since the elections of 2006. And getting aid into Gaza has always been a problem. But saying this, Matt, we've been working in Gaza on the ground for many years now. We have established relationships with the key sort of stakeholders in health, and that's the Ministry of Health, as well as local hospitals and local organisations, local NGOs. So actually, during the crisis, as you say, one of the first things that we did was to release medicines and supplies that we had actually been that we had pre-positioned across Gaza. So, as you say, we do have to prepare for an emergency of this kind. Unfortunately, that's one of the things we have to do as an organisation working in Palestine. And so one of the first things we did was to release these medicines and supplies. And actually, in doing so, we were the first UK organisation to actually respond in Gaza. After we had released those, obviously it's never enough, and we went about procuring more medicines, and we did this primarily actually through our team in Gaza and our team in the West Bank, and largely, it's possible to get the medicines needed from wholesalers there, and actually get them, if it's from the West Bank, through Israel and into Gaza. And during the crisis, there was one crossing that did remain open for humanitarian supplies, and so although it's always very difficult to get aid into Gaza, it's never an easy process. We were able to do that, and actually in July, thanks to the fabulous support that we received from up and down the country in terms of donations, we were able to get more aid into hospitals than any other organisation. So, thanks to communities like you, we were actually able to respond pretty substantially during the crisis.
I mean, obviously, recently has been the levels of aid that required recently have been obvious. I mean, would this be the kind of biggest sort of kind of aid convoy you'd have to sort of send in regards to what's happened recently? I mean,
yeah, I mean, if we take a look back at what's happened in Gaza the last couple of months now, obviously the attack started around the 7th of July. And actually, what Gaza was subjected to in the next following sort of 50, I think around 55 days, almost 2 months, was the greatest level of attack that it has been subjected to. So actually, we did see attacks. We saw bombardments in 2008, 2009, and in 2012. But actually, the level of destruction and the level of loss of life involved in this recent conflict was higher than anything we've seen. So we saw in this recent conflict. Over 2,000 people were killed, more than 500 children were killed, more than 11,000 people were injured, 3,000 children were among those. We had 110,000 people that are still displaced now because their houses were totally destroyed. Some people have managed to go back to houses which were just partly damaged. We had also health facilities which were hit. I think we all saw on the news. So we had about 50 health clinics, 17 hospitals all sustained damage. Many of these have managed to reopen now, but there are 3 main hospitals which actually have remained closed, and then up to about 24 clinics are still closed. So yes, I mean, in terms of the aid going to Gaza, this is, it's bigger than anything we've seen in terms of the destruction and loss of life. But actually, what we have to remember with Gaza is that the situation there has been really dire and has been getting worse for the last 7 years, particularly under the blockade. So although, what we've seen in the last 2 months has been really acute kind of need in Gaza, actually, we've been working there for years and the need has been getting greater and greater in our ongoing projects. And so this is something which is, in a really acute period of time, but actually, we've had to supply aid to Gaza. We have about 80% of the Gazans are aid dependent, even leading up to the crisis. So it's an area of the world which, is no stranger to actually having to depend on aid.
When you talk about aid, I mean, are we talking about basic medicines going in here, Kate? I mean,
yeah.
Just a bit, because that's the thing people maybe don't understand a lot of it.
Absolutely, yeah. So as I said, during the crisis, the aid that we were delivering was primarily sort of medical aid and medicines and supplies. So actually, that's something that we had. MAP has been supplying to hospitals before the crisis started because there were already shortages due to the blockade. But of course, with the level of those numbers of those injured during the crisis, the need just shot through the roof. And and so what we were doing was we were in coordination with the Ministry of Health, who in turn talked to all the different local hospitals, and they gave us lists of things that are needed. And they're really basic things, they're things like anaesthetics, they're drugs for painkillers, they're antibiotics. And in terms of supplies, we're talking things like surgical gloves and scalpels, breathing tubes, and things like this, which are just so incredibly basic and so an absolute necessity in terms of delivering, the aid, the medical aid, and the treatment needed. So those are the kind of supplies that we were procuring, delivering our team in Gaza during the crisis, and we were also getting what we were calling emergency kits to displaced families, and these kits went, so they went to families who had to leave their homes, and they contained things like basic hygiene items, toiletries, very basic medical items, as well as mattresses and blankets. And actually, since the crisis, I say since the crisis, I shouldn't use that, because the crisis is ongoing. Since the attacks stopped, and we've had a ceasefire which seems to be holding. We've moved slightly into another phase. So now we're targeting very specific medical items. So right now we're delivering neonatal, so items for newborns to different hospitals across Gaza, and we're also sending teams of doctors out to Gaza, which is something that actually MAP doesn't usually do. We don't usually like to send teams of doctors from the UK to Palestine, but in this instance, we have such a high number of people with really quite severe injuries that the Ministry of Health in Gaza has asked us to help by actually providing, literally hands-on help in terms of surgeons. So that's another way that people's donations are being used, and we're using it also as a training opportunity in Gaza to make sure that when the doctors leave, that their Gazan colleagues are able to deliver the surgery that's needed in the hospitals there.
I think it's amazing the work you're doing. And tell me something. See maybe about a month and a half ago when I first contacted you guys, it was obviously on the news all the time. Did you find you got a wee bit of an upsurge of people want to help, but now is it kind of died down again because the worldwide media isn't focusing on it as much?
Well, yeah, that's true. But I think we absolutely have to focus on the positives in this instance, because actually, as you say, during the crisis, I don't know, how you felt and your listeners out there, but actually, as you say, it was on the news every day, and we received just an incredible response. And actually it was something that we were able to pass on back to our team in Gaza, who were there trying to work, while the bombs falling around them. It was one little piece of encouragement to them to hear just the level of response that we had as an organisation, in terms of donations and in terms of people like you, communities getting together and fundraising and doing what they could. But, we also, we have links with MPs and so on, who are passionate about this, and they told us as well that they've received more letters about this than even than the Iraq War, during the Iraq War. So I think, as you say, there was a real upsurge in support for the people of Gaza in the UK around that time, and that was something that we saw. We received, a fantastic response. Now, inevitably, it has fallen out of the news, and that's something that will happen, as we know, with any of these crises, because actually people, very important things are going on elsewhere in the world as well. But we are seeing a steady stream of support still, and also we were able to plan different projects during the crisis when we were getting a fantastic response, which means that, because of course this is going to be long term, 6 months time, we're still going to be, a year's time, we'll still be responding to this crisis. Yeah. So, the response that we received at the time meant that we can now start really planning for the future and making sure that we're still there in a year's time when people still need help.
Yeah, no, excellent. So we'll try and do something else here. We'll try and make this an ongoing thing that is, because I know, because the football team we follow, I don't know how put up young football or anything, but the team that we follow, Celtic, the fans very, very much have got a social conscience, and
I'm definitely aware of that. I think a lot of people are,
Yeah, so when you looked at when the crisis was going on, when you see the Celtic games, it was basically Palestinian flags right round the stadium, with the fans sort of showing.
I saw pictures of it. I saw pictures of it.
Yeah, so it's something that we are very proud of and very passionate of. As a Celtic supporter, our support will stand tall, and we'll always try and help when we can. So it's something just hope for the listeners that are listening here, as I say, Kate's representing Medical Aid for Palestine, who all the listeners and whatever have gave really generously. But I think we can do more. So if anybody's got any ideas out there how we can raise further funds for Medical Aid for Palestine, just let us know, and I'll put you in contact with Kate, or you can contact them yourself. Just do a Google search and you'll get the phone number for the guys. And as I say, Kate, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you guys, because as soon as I told you with a bit of interest, all the leaflets, I think it was Ellie from your office sent us up leaflets, T-shirts and stickers and stuff like that. Yeah, so it was it was great, and it's been a pleasure and actually I think it was a bit it was like fate that I came to you guys, because I first started the first person I tried to contact was the girl in Buchanan Street in Glasgow. She's the Scottish Solidarity with Palestine campaign.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But there was something wrong with her email address. So see, when I sent her an email, I didn't get anything back. So we were due to do a show on the Monday night. So I contacted your office on the Monday and spoke to Ellie, and she says, "Yeah, we'd be absolutely delighted." Sent me emails, stuff like that. So then we started the ball rolling, and then the girl for the Scottish Solidarity campaign came back to me, and I was like, "Look, I'm really sorry. Guys for Matt." No, but she was delighted. She says, "No."
And we absolutely have partnerships with other organisations like that. I think everyone's working to a similar aim, aren't we? So yeah.
Yeah, no, so that was great. So as I say, for all the listeners there, just want to thank Kate for coming on, and just letting us know a wee bit of background about the charity that we all gave to. And as I say, I'll be in contact, Kate, and we'll maybe try and get something in the future, and we can try and do some further fundraising, because obviously this is a cause that's not going to go away. No. It's not as if with a little bit of money we're going to fix it, because probably the next bombardment for the Israeli army is probably in the post, So
that's the worry, and it's something that unfortunately we have to be prepared for, whether it's in the short or long term future. Yeah. But you know, can I just say again, thank you so much to your listeners. And you know, it's a cliche, but we honestly couldn't do it without you. And you know, we couldn't exist without all the donations. We exist entirely on voluntary donations. So we're so grateful, and I know that our team